My friends, hope you had a great week. You're tuned into the 109th SongBike Guitar Q&A Livestream coming at you from the Connecticut River Delta. How are you? I had a great week. Lots to talk about, lots to share with you. Hope you had a chance to practice your guitar. We have a very ambitious show. Yeah, man. And here's why it's an ambitious show today. I had a little extra time on my hands this morning that I don't usually have. And I could have put that towards preparing for the show. I put it towards an extra cup of coffee. Same thing, same result. So don't go anywhere. We've got Bob Dylan exercise today. We've got more bass note runs. We've got a follow-up on last week's question about finger picking song that's not a sad song. We got a poll question up and running. I want to talk to you about Neil Young getting his guitar back from 60 years ago. I want to talk to you about Molly Tuttle. Do you know Molly Tuttle? She's got a new album out. How about the Fretboard Summit? Those of you who live anywhere in the vicinity of Chicago, Illinois, you might know about the Fretboard Summit. I want to talk to you about that a little bit. We have a student quote of the week. We have a segment I call Should I Sell Out? 2 more completely ridiculous, terrible ideas that I'm supposed to pitch to you. Can't wait to share those terrible ideas. I have my own dumb question of the week. We have a play-along song of the week, which it's my new favorite song in the world. I can't wait to share that with you. You will need a capo for that song at the 5th fret, so get your capo handy. A segment I call Who's in Town. One of my favorite musical artists of all time the show's sold out, but that's okay. I've seen him before, and he's on a farewell tour. I can't wait to share his name with you, and also why it has a little bit of meaning to me. Why am I here? Really, though, I'm here for your questions. So if you got questions for a guitar teacher, put them in the chat. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Sue. Hello to Chaz. Booba John. M. Fish checking in from Maine. Hey, M. Fish. Gotta love Maine. Winston from Wales. It's 10 p.m. in the evening in Wales. William checking in from Texas. Randy checking in from Colorado. Randy, your t-shirt just went in the mail this morning. Randy was one of the t-shirt winners in our 100th live stream giveaway, and he won a t-shirt from the pizza restaurant that is my neighbor. And Randy, that just left today. So that should be arriving there in Colorado pretty soon. Hello to DAC Poet. Hello to Barry. Barry, thank you for your super chat donations already. Barry, I'm going to try to earn those donations. Hello to Joseph checking in from Oklahoma. Matt, hello to Matt. And who did I see? I know someone checked in right before Matt. Who was that who checked in right before Matt? It won't let me scroll up to see. Okay, let's get down to the fun stuff. Why we are here. Rock Lobster checking in from Maine. Charlie Beagle checking in. Hey, you guys. All the regulars are here. All right. Poll question of the week is, I want to read it right. The poll question is, okay. It's not a question as much as a statement that you can agree with or disagree with. The poll question is, I know exactly what I want to get better at. And some of you can vote, yes, I'm very focused. I know the thing I'm working on right now. And the other option is, no, I kind of practice a bit of everything. There's no right or wrong answer. I do not know who is voting how. And I realize that I'm opening up a big can of worms here, as we say. And it's a complicated question, but vote. Can't hurt to vote, and then we'll talk about it. And feel free to add your comments in the chat. Okay, so Music Fan. Oh, Live to Fly. Music Fan, thank you. Music Fan is one of our moderators. She's the moderator I'm married to. And Music Fan said, is informing me that Live to Fly was the first person in the chat. Hey, Live to Fly, thanks for being here. Chris is checking in from Augusta, Maine. Okay, so we got 3 people from Maine already, right? M. Fish, Rock Lobster, and Chris Creates are checking in from Maine. That's awesome. To everyone in the state of Maine, we're about to stop visiting you for the summer, and you're going to have your state back. I'm sure it's going to be a relief to get your state back. Thank you for letting us all visit all summer long. Yeah. Oh, M. Fish, you got the book in the 100th giveaway, the book called Birth of Loud. Yeah, what a cool book. Very cool. All right, so let's get right into it. You are here to learn, right? And I'm here to learn along with you. we are about to do something that I teased at before, Bob Dylan exercise. What do I mean by Bob Dylan exercise? Okay, here it comes. I'm putting a PDF up on the screen. If your screen goes black, give it a minute. Don't worry. All shall be revealed. Okay, so what's going on here? Up the neck chords in the context of Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. For the record, this is not literally what's happening during the song. We're using Like a Rolling Stone to get you better at playing chords up the neck, kind of like this. Okay, I'm reading my own fine print there. What's the reason why we're doing this with Like a Rolling Stone is at the heart of Like a Rolling Stone, specifically the verses, is an ascending chord progression that goes C to D minor, to E minor, to F, to G. We're working our way through the key of C chords alphabetically. C, D minor, E minor, F, G. That's the verse of Like a Rolling Stone. So we're going to use that to get you good at these chords, not playing just any old C chord or any old F, but specifically what I call the bite-size versions of all these chords up and down the neck. Now, for those of you who are freaking out about all those chord diagrams at the top of the page, do not freak out. Those of you who, though, are looking at those, keep your eyes open. You got to remember that many of those diagrams reflect chords that are way up the neck, and there's a little teeny tiny black or gray number that is extremely significant. For instance, the F chord on the second line, the first chord on the second line of the diagrams, not the music, the diagrams up at the top. That F chord is based at the 5th and 6th fret, but that's going to be up to you to notice that little teeny tiny number 5. You can ignore all those diagrams, though, and just focus on the tab on the screen, and that's great. Either way, though, you want to make a mental note. Okay, let's get into this. The song starts off with this C to F alternating pattern. You can see the first C, 0, 1, 0. Oh, by the way, we're staying on the 3 skinny strings, if that wasn't obvious yet. Everything we're about to do is on the 3 treble strings. So the first C, nice 1 finger, C, 1 strum. Once upon a time, F. This F is going to resemble the F that a lot of you play all the time anyways. You're dressed so fine. Oh, actually, no, there's no lyrics this part. This is just the C to F. There we go. C to F to C. Okay, 1 strum on each. So that first is C, 0, 1, 0. First F, 1, 1, 2. The next C, 3, 5, 5. I'm going to pause right there. When I say 3, 5, 5, what do I mean? You need the 3rd fret on the first string and 5 and 5 on the second and third string. So I'm going to refer to that C as a 3, 5, 5 C. Some of you are familiar with that C. Some of you have never played C that way ever before. That's why we're doing it. Okay, that is a C chord. It has the 3 notes that make up a C chord. The F after that, 5, 6, 5. It's an F that feels like a D chord. D is in delta, but you just take your D chord and move it up to 5, 6, 5. It's an F chord. Okay, so see what's going on here? Again, this is not literally what you're hearing on the recorded version, but you are hearing C and F chords. We're just playing them with these voicings. There's your word of the day, different voicings. Or some people call them inversions of C and F chords. C to F, 3, 5, 5 C, 5, 6, 5 F, 8, 8, 9 C. That 8, 8, 9 C in the 3rd measure, that's a C that feels like a little mini F chord. But instead of your index barring 1, 1, first fret, and your middle finger reaching over, instead of playing it down in this part of the neck, you're playing it way up at 8 and 9. Okay, followed by an F that's 8, 10, 10. That 8, 10, 10 F, give yourself a little time, you're going to realize and feel comfortable with the fact that you played that grip a minute ago, the 3, 5, 5 C, is the same grip as the 8, 10, 10 F, same grip, right? And then after that, F, 8, 10, 10 F, I went easy on you. I just slid your hand back to the 3, 5, 5 C, same formation, and back to the familiar F, the 1, 1, 2 F. Okay, so how does that first line sound? C to F to C to F to C to F to C to F. Now that's a workout. For some of you, I'm hoping some of you have never done that type of guitar playing before. Okay, now you have. Remember, it's not about how well you can play it right this second. It's about giving you a project to work on for a bunch of practice sessions, right? Okay, by the way, what can you do with up the neck chords? Everything. What can't you do with up the neck chords? All sorts of stuff. You can play them instead of the old-fashioned cowboy chords down here. If someone's already playing the cowboy chords, now you have alternatives, right? You can use them for guitar solos. You can use them for guitar introductions or to create signature riffs. You can use them just to feel like a master of your instrument because you're not stuck playing C chord like that the rest of your life, right? Okay, so now let's get into what I consider the good stuff. I'm going to scroll up a little bit, and I'm also going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and let's enlarge it. Ooh, it's getting bigger. Whoa, love it. Okay, so now the lyrics come in, and the composer sets us upon this journey. C to D minor, to E minor, to F, to G, and we stay on that G. Okay, so we're about to do the line that goes, once upon a time you dressed so fine, through the bumps of dime, in your prime. Didn't you? And the whole thing, see that repeat sign, those double dots at the end of the line there? People call, say, beware doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. Okay, so let's take a minute, because that one line right there, getting good at that one line is a decent achievement, you know? It works you through multiple grips, everywhere from 0 and 1 way up to 8, 7 and 8. You're covering a lot of ground. It sounds musical, it sounds interesting, and it's worth focusing on that right there. To keep things simple, I'm having you strum each chord one time. There is no fancy strum pattern. There's nothing going on there. What we really want to focus on is your fretting hand. Okay, so that 0, 1, 0, you might recognize, it's just the 3 treble strings, during a C chord. But since we're not playing anything but the 3 treble strings, we're not going to fret those other notes, right? We're just going to use our index finger. We're not using our middle and ring. Just to stay focused, Don't forget, really arch over that index finger. Make sure that index finger on the C chord here, make sure you're using the extreme tip right by your fingernail so you don't dampen out the skinny first E string. Okay, the next one, D minor, just a traditional D minor. And I don't take it for granted that people know the D minor chord, and here's why. Despite the fact that it makes the list of the 16 most common popular chords, it may be among the least popular, least common of the 16. I don't understand why, but somehow D minor doesn't get the love it should. And many people know a lot of chords, but they're not comfortable with D minor. Well, you're going to get 2 chances, and here's what I mean. D minor, played like a D minor, and watch this. My D minor, I'm gliding up 2 frets. The name has changed to E minor. The formation is still the same formation as the D minor. So you get 2 chances to, make your peace with this fingering. Okay? Once upon a time, you dressed so fine, through the bums of dime. Here comes the F that feels like a D. You know what I mean when I say that? It's a D chord, but you glide your hand up to 5, 6, 5. Right? So your left hand thinks it's still playing a D chord, but your eyes tell you it's not D. D was down here at 2 and 3, but you're still on the 3 treble strings. And guess what? As long as you can get that F, then you have the G that's coming up already. Just take that F grip, or the F chord with a D grip, and move it up 2 frets. Okay, and now it's a G chord, 7, 8, 7. It's a G chord. Now I want to impress upon you, for any of you who don't feel 100% comfortable doing this, the more comfortable you are with the D major chord down here, the easier this all is. And if you think you are comfortable with the D, then just tell yourself it's still a D grip, but we're just moving it up higher, okay? And you'll get used to it. Okay, ready to play that first line all the way across? We're going to play it 2 times because that's how the song goes. Okay, so C, D minor, E minor, F, G. And we're going to repeat that whole thing 2 times. Slowly go. C to D minor, to E minor, to F, to G, and stay on the G. Back to C. D minor, E minor, F, G, 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 G. Hey, one thing I just noticed, and I'm glad I did. Once you grab your D minor chord, if you're grabbing it like me with your first 3 fingers, no pinky involved, your third finger, your ring finger, is going to be on that second string for the D minor, for the E minor. It's going to be on the second string for the F and for the G. If you can keep that ring finger glued to the second skinny string, the B string, if you can keep it glued there for the D minor, the E minor, the F, and the G, you're going to be a lot more successful a lot sooner, right? Okay, so what happens next? Thought you'd never ask. We're going to scroll up a little bit here. Okay, this is the you used to laugh about. This is the FG part. Okay. So we have F for 2 strums, but we're doing an F way up high. 8, 10, 10. You used to. G. Remember, any G is just like an F 2 frets higher. Doesn't matter if we're talking about the chord F, the note F. Anything that's an F, F anything. Move it up 2 frets, it's a G. And that's what's happening right here. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Okay, see how my fretting hand my form wasn't changing. My fingers weren't even leaving the strings. Heaven forbid your fingers leave the strings when they don't have to, because that opens up risk, a world of risk. Things can go wrong. Okay, the next line down. Now you don't talk so loud. We're going to reverse our alphabet. F to E minor to D minor to C. See what I mean by reversing the alphabet? It's kind of the opposite of what Bob Dylan did in the verse, where he went, he ascended through the alphabet. Now we're going to descend. Now you don't, where are we here? Talk so loud. Now you don't act so proud. What's the key to success here? I would tell you, for this line, the key to success is your index finger, your first finger on the first string. For the F, the 8, 10, 10 F. For the 7, 8, 9 E minor. For the 5, 6, 7 D minor. Hey, notice the E minor and the D minor is the same grip. E minor, D minor, E minor, D minor. It's the same grip, just 2 frets back. And even when you get to the C still requires your index to be on the first string. So the key to success for this line is your index finger staying planted on the G. Is not just your index finger, but you know what? Your third finger on the G string, on the third string, if you keep that planted, that'll serve you well too. F to E minor to, yeah, man. Okay, so your index and your ring are not going to change anything as you glide backwards. It's the in-between note. Now, let's take a breath. The PDF you're looking at is going to be available shortly for members of my website. So you can access it, print it out, catch your breath, take it one phrase at a time. Typically, when we finish our live stream, if I haven't already uploaded PDFs to my website, that's when I upload them. So those of you who are scrambling to write down any of this stuff, it's too much. It's too much to scribble and process. $9.95 a month. Member of the website, you get access to this and a million more PDFs. So it's worth the $9.95. I hope nobody is like scrambling to write super fast, you know, or take pictures with your phone. There's an easier way, my friends. Okay, so let's keep going because we're almost done. About having a scrounge in your next meal. How does it feel? Okay, now check it out. The D minor is, there's two strums in D minor, but I'm pushing you now to play two different D minors, two different Fs. See my little cursor right there, and four different Gs. Here it comes. This is about having to be scrounging your next meal, D minor. About having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it? Now, again, this is a great example of a nice challenge that is not reflected in the original recording. You don't hear this happening in the recording, not literally what you see there. So we're doing it for the joy of it. The chords are correct. Musically, they're correct, right? The Bob Dylan and the band are playing D minor chords, F chords, and G chords. This is one of my favorite things as a teacher, to connect a well-known song with an interesting challenge. I love it. I'm having a great time. I hope you are too. Okay. And now here we are at the chorus. How does it feel? How does it feel? Okay, I'm going to scroll. Some of you might remember that September 6th, in 2 weeks, this live stream will not be happening on that day because guess who I'm going to go see? Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, Waxahachie is going to be one of the opening acts. And I think there's even a fifth. It's an all-day thing. I think, it's an all-day thing. Anyways, that's where I'll be September 6th. And maybe Mr. Dylan will even play the song. Okay. Anyways, so we're going to only spend a minute more on this because you guys, you get the idea. CFG, when you hear people say, like a Rolling Stone is a 1-4-5, it's just CFG. Well, they're specifically talking about the chorus of it. How does it feel? How does it feel? Louder home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. And let me just see page 3 here. Page 3 has one last CFG, and I put in a G7 at the end because personally I'm dying to put in a G7 in this song. And whether or not it's on the original recording, it's a great sounding chord. Okay, we just covered a lot of stuff. The goal here is to understand the concept. It's not to memorize everything we just did. It's not to be able to play this song this way with the recording. Don't worry about that. The goal is, hey, up the neck chords. Up the neck chords are not a mystery. Sometimes they're literally based on something you already know how to do, like a D grip, the D formation moving up and down the neck, right? Sometimes you do something that you've never done before, but it's not even hard, like the C that was 3-5-5. Nothing hard about that. Just for a bunch of you, it's going to be a little bit unfamiliar. That's okay. Unfamiliar is different than difficult, right? You're going to make a new friend. That's all. Okay, so I'm gonna call it on that. But before I do, any specific questions? How about if I scroll back to the top? Any specific questions about this? DAC Poet says, I needed this exercise for going out of first position. That's why we're doing it. You got it. And it's good for me too, even though I'm familiar with these. This, like, I like the challenge of this too. It just keeps me on my toes. It's the advantage of teaching stuff. You're constantly being reminded, of things. Hey, Nanita, thank you for checking in. Barry, reminding us that you're checking in from Ireland. I know it's late there. Excellent. Okay, so I'm just looking at the comments here. Any specific questions about what's going on here? for me, the ultimate goal would be to put on the actual recording and do like literally these 3 pages with the actual recording, just to prove you can do it, right? And sometimes I don't want to make it sound like this is just an esoteric exercise. There are definitely times in the original recording where one of the guitar players is employing this concept. Mike Bloomfield. It's not that this is completely foreign to the tune. All right, you guys. If you don't have any major questions, there we go, back to just me, and we're gonna check that off. Okay. How about let's talk about Neil Young. Why not? Check this out. Neil Young got a guitar back. Kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to share this. Sometimes I've noticed that this is when your guys' screens might go black. When I share a website, and it just takes longer for the website to load. I get that. So don't worry. We're going to talk about this for a minute. And if your screen goes black, yeah, Okay. So what are we talking about here? This is a website, Guitar World. Remember Guitar World magazine? Neil Young sold his Gretsch guitar back in the 60s to get a Gibson 12-string. I'm scrolling here. And hey, you know what? I mean, it's not the heart wants what the heart wants. But he 60 years later, he kind of wanted to get that, exact, his old guitar back, and he found it. He found it online because, right, you find everything online. But it had to do with finding pictures of him with his, so he knew you could use that as a reference point, and analyzing the grain of the wood and everything, and then searching online for pictures that anyone had ever posted of this vintage Gretsch 6120 from 1963. He got it in 63, and he had to match up the grain of the wood and determine if it was the real thing. So the text, I'm going to read you this real quick, just in case your screen is still black. Neil Young has been reunited with a Gretsch 6120 electric guitar he played during his Squires days, right? When one of his early bands was called the Squires. After finding it online, and he brought it out on stage for the first time in 60 years during a recent gig in Ohio. He's played a handful of Gretsch 6120s over the years, but his very first orange finished hollow body is perhaps his most revered. He got it in Winnipeg, Canada in 63. And it stayed with him until it was either sold or pawned in 1965. And the story is that he wanted to get a Gibson 12-string acoustic. And that's how it goes, So last Friday, August 15th, I believe that's when he brought it out on stage and played it. And he was inspired by his buddy, Randy Bachman, Randy Bachman, my understanding, I first heard Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive, right? That he had a guitar stolen, and that he tracked down the stolen guitar decades later and got it back. But I guess he also has been retrieving guitars that he had as a younger person that were not stolen, but just they were sold, traded, whatever. So Randy Bachman inspired Neil and encouraged Neil to go track down his own guitar. Kind of cool, huh? Okay, so here's a question for you. If you had a vintage guitar you paid a decent amount of money for, and someone, a well-known musician like Neil Young, said, "Oh man, that was mine. Could I buy it back from you?" Would you jack up the price? Or you say, "Hey, look, I paid X for it. Why don't you give me X in an autograph, and we'll call it a deal?" What would you do? How would you handle that? I mean, this person wants that guitar badly, right? What would you do? Some of you might have even had, invest in some vintage guitars, and, for all you are holding a piece of music history that you didn't know about, What would you do? I don't know. I know exactly what I'd do. I'd say they'd have to come on this live stream. And wouldn't that be awesome? That's what I would do. I don't, well, my wife might say, no, we could use a little extra money. And yeah, we could, but for the fun of it, it'd be great to have the person on the live stream, right? On a Zoom call, if nothing else, you know. Oh well. Okay, so there's a little update. Now, did the website load okay, you guys? Because I have a theory about, you know, when it doesn't load, and that's my theory. Did everybody raise your hand if you did indeed see this on there? Everybody see that okay? By the way, the link I'm sharing, I'm going to put that link in the description of this video so you can see yourselves. But that's the Neil Young missing guitar update. You know, Randy says it loaded right up. Excellent. You know, I know we all have different types of internet, and I don't take anything for granted. I don't assume anything. Nothing at all. Okay, don't forget to vote in our poll. The poll statement is, I know exactly what I want to get better at. Answer number 1 is yes, I'm very focused. Answer number 2 is nah, I've kind of practiced a bit of everything. No right answer, no wrong answer. Hey, don't forget to throw the live stream a like. Hey, don't forget to follow me on social media, Instagram or Facebook. Just do a search for the phrase SongBike. I ought to pop up either way on Instagram or Facebook. One reason I'm pushing that is next Saturday, August 30th, my friend Clay and I have a gig. So I would like to do this live stream Friday night instead. And I haven't 100% made up my mind. We're going to have to start. It would start at a later time than this, which for some of you is great. For some of you, it's the wee hours of the morning. I know it's not great. As I struggle to make up my mind, I'll be posting about it on Facebook or Instagram. So here are the 2 things that are likely for our future. Next Saturday, for sure, I'm going to be streaming our gig, and it's the same time as this live stream. So 5 p.m. Eastern, tune in, and you'll see Clay and I rocking out and having fun. And it's possible Friday night we'll do this live stream instead of Saturday, but it'll probably be a little bit later in the evening. And that's all my little brain can focus on at the moment. Okay. Any questions? If you have a question for me, and I hope you do, put it in the chat with a handful of question marks. What else? Let's keep making good music. You ready to do some bass note runs? Let's do it. I'm going to close down this and this and this. Okay. Slide. That's good. I don't need that. I don't need this. I need this. Some of you might remember that I had the audacity to begin a project that I'm calling the Ultimate Guide to Bass Note Runs. And I'm serious though. Let's do it. Okay, the Ultimate Guide to Bass Note Runs. In prior live streams, we have tackled a variety of bass note runs that connect G major with C major. And that's what you're looking at in the screen right now. We already did that one. Okay. We had, what was it, about 7 or 8, there are 6 different bass note runs connecting G to C. I'm scrolling right now. I believe it was just last week that we did 6 or 7 bass note runs connecting, 6 of them there, connecting A with D, A as in alpha, D as in delta. I'm choosing these chords very intentionally because they're common combinations. So today, I hope you're ready. Today, we're connecting E major chords, E as in echo, with A major chords, A as in awesome. Okay, so get ready. I'm going to take a drink. Tonight's show is definitely not sponsored by San Pellegrino Italian Sparkling Limonata. And I'm back. All right. So bass note runs. You guys know what bass note runs, right? That nice, happy structure of connecting 2 chords. Oh, love it. Okay, so we're going to do 6 of these. Just like we did with G and C, just like we did with A and D. We're going to start off in a nice, orderly, structured, not particularly creative, bass note runs, and then we're going to get more creative with them. They're going to get a little bit harder, but they're also more fun and more fun for the listener. Okay, so number one, see how it says number 1E, top of the page? I'm going to repeat that top line. Now, it's not about how fast you can go, but let's face it, they sound, the faster you play, the better they sound, you know. But you're going to use bass note runs in all different contexts. So nothing wrong with, in fact, it's important to do them slowly and accurately, and then the speed will come. Okay. As previously, the context here is this boom, chick, kind of country feel, because bass note runs lend themselves very well to that feeling. But bass note runs work their way into all sorts of rhythm guitar, way beyond country and bluegrass. And Barry says that sounds like Johnny Cash, and that is the reference point. In fact, I don't know what I'd use as a reference point if it weren't for Johnny Cash, because as soon as a lot of us hear, I mean, that's the first one that comes to mind, you know? Very cool. Okay. Okay, so nowhere on here does it tell you which fingers to use. But in all these examples, I would encourage you to do, you know, a regular E chord. Grab all 3 strings of an E chord when you start off, and all 3 strings of an A chord. Don't get tunnel vision. I've seen lots of students over the years focus on every individual number, every individual action, and maybe lose sight of the fact that if you just grab an E major chord, you know, the first 6 notes on here take care of themselves. And by 6, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first measure and a half. As long as you play an E major chord, you're all set for the first 6 pick strokes. By the way, all down strokes for what we're doing today. Okay, and same thing with the A. Don't get tunnel vision and say, well, I'm just going to play the 0, and then I'm going to, you know, evaluate each number, each group of numbers as its own specific thing. Remember, the whole point of this is connecting E and A. Okay. Now, it doesn't tell you which fingers to use for these bass note runs, and some of them it might be common sense, some it might not be. So in this case, in that second measure, that bass note run, I use my index on the 2 and my ring on the 4. Whatever you do, don't make a huge attempt to keep your finger on the 2, even when you're, I mean, even after you've played the notes and it's time to play the 4. Sometimes I see people like, they feel like they have to keep a finger down even when the music is moving on. Okay, so this is one of those moments where once you play that 2nd fret on the 6th string, for heaven's sake, let go of it, get your ring finger up there on the 4th fret. You don't get any extra points for keeping your index pressed down there. And the same would be true at the end. You know, you play that 4, obviously you have to let go of that 4 to play that 2. Okay, so number 1, hopefully number 1 sounds familiar and looks kind of doable, right? Index finger playing the 2nd fret notes, ring finger playing the 4th fret notes of the bass note runs, you know, specifically. Number 2, moving on. A little surprise there, right? That very last number 2 of example 2. It's there for the fun of it. It just sounds cute. Okay, getting a little more creative, right? Not quite as predictable, not as linear, right? Again, all downstrokes with your pick. Please use a pick. Don't forget, holding the pick. Curl up your picking hand fingers into a loose fist. Your thumb is going to do the work of holding the pick against the side of your index finger, right? No pinching, none of that stuff. Don't hold the pick that way, okay? Oh, although this touches on my own dumb question of the week. We'll get to that shortly. Okay, so again, what you're looking at here, don't knock yourself out to try to memorize all this or write it down as fast as you can. This is a PDF that's available, that will be available on my website. Example 3 here. Remember, there's 6 of these. We're going to start zipping kind of fast through these. Okay, so let's talk about this one. Let's unpack it a little bit. What we're really focusing on, if you haven't noticed, is the second measure right there where my cursor is, and the fourth measure. The first and third are always going to be the same thing, right? That's what we can count on that boom, chick, on the E or the A. Okay, so second measure, the first bass note run, hammer on. Ah, sounds great, right? 6 string 0. Then with your fretting hand, hammer hard on the 6 string second fret. Not too hard. You don't want to hurt yourself. The better you get at it, the faster you're going to get at it, and the less important it is exactly how loud the hammer on is. So over the years, I've found a few people who they go crazy and they're very tough on themselves over how loud the hammer on is, when potentially you could hurt yourself, and for sure you're using energy that you shouldn't be wasting this way. So we have the hammer on the bass 6th string, the fat E string, open A string, and then check it out, a pull off A string 2, pulling off to 0, 6 string 2. And I'll say the same thing about that pull off that I said about the hammer on. Don't agonize over how loud the secondary note is, the open 5th string at the end of that pull off. You're going to get so fast at it that note, that pull off, is going to be felt more than heard. Does that make sense? I'm not saying don't try to make everything audible, but don't beat yourself up and go crazy. You'd be frustrated and you'll stress out, and accept the fact that the second note of a hammer on or pull off are realistically going to be a little bit softer than the first one. Okay, now at the end, see how it says 4-2? There's a little smiley face underneath them, but there's also that slash mark. And up above, there's an SL. So you're going to slide from 4 on the 5th string to 2 on the 5th string. I did that with 1 down pick for my pick, followed by the open 5th string. And if there's any trick there, you got to press hard enough that the note is still ringing when you get to the 2nd fret. But you want to have a light enough approach that you can actually slide while you maintain that pressure. I know it's like I'm saying 2 different things. You want to be light and quick, but also have the necessary pressure so that note is still ringing. So for the record, I'm using my middle finger to do the slide in the open string. Then I'm using my middle finger 6 string 2 and pinky 6 string 4. Why not? If your pinky doesn't feel confident, then definitely use your pinky. This is how it gets confident. So here's number 3, slowly all the way across. I'm going to loop it a few times. Fun, right? Fun. Okay. Now, scrolling. So, okay, so this is the final group here. And what I'm going to focus on is specifically the 2nd and 4th measures of each one of these. Number 4. It's groovy. Love it. Okay, so what I just do there? 3rd skinny string, G string, hammer on from 0 to 1 with my index finger. I do it a 2nd time. 2 in the 4th string with my middle. And then I take that middle finger on the 4th string 2nd fret. I hop it over to the 5th string 2nd fret. A nice slide from 2 to 4. And that's just a fun way to get your ear, in the listener's ear, into the world of the A chord. Love it. And the 4th measure, what did I write there? Ooh, I love it. I remember writing that one. Seems like just yesterday. I'm using my ring finger, my 3rd finger on the 4th string. Nice smooth slide from 3 up to 4, followed by 2 on the 3rd string with my index finger. And then essentially I repeat it, except on a fatter string. Love it. Okay, here's how number 4 sounds. From the beginning. Here we go. Again. A little faster. There we go. Okay, moving on. Number, let's say, it says number 6. Should say number 5. Okay, we'll change that. We'll fix that in post-production. Ooh, definitely getting groovy here with down, up picking, getting even a little bit deeper into the bluesy bluegrass world. This is one way the faster you play it, the better it sounds for sure. So I got my middle finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, the D string. 2 1 0, and then I repeat it. 2 1 0. 5th string. 2 1 0. With down up picking. That means the first group of notes is going to be down up down. When I repeat those 3 notes, it's going to be up, down, up. What? It's freaky. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Your picking hand, in this particular case, is never going to stop alternating. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Little bluesy, little funky sounding. The end of this one here, what's described as number 6. Eventually I'll change it so it says number 5. Ooh, some nice pull-offs there. Middle finger, I recommend your middle finger, 4th string, 2 0 2 0. 5th string, index, 1 0. How about ring finger on that 3, 3rd finger on that 3. Ooh. Here it is all the way across, the one that's labeled number 6. It's the 2nd one down. 1, 2, here I go. Oh, love it. Okay, last one, fast one. This is, I decided to go a little bit crazy. This is not the hardest one, but I realized I wasn't writing any bass note runs that involve triplets. So number 7, which later I'll change to say number 6, measure 2 on the 5th string, a hammer-on with a downstroke. And that's on the 5th string, a 0-2 hammer-on, and an upstroke on the open D string. The rhythm is blueberry, 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 blueberry. Notice how smooth that is. Da, 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 da. Your eyes aren't going to help you as much as your ear is right now. Don't let your eyes, close your eyes for a minute and just hear blueberry, blueberry, da, 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 da. Sometimes people have a little disconnect and they turn off their ear for a minute when your ear is being given all this information right now. Kind of a fun one, right? Hammer-ons with a triplet kind of feeling. We just haven't done those before. Okay, now I know we just spent a lot of time on this. I'm going to take a minute, catch my breath, see what you guys are talking about. I see some questions. I love it. Okay, excellent. Barry, I see Barry Willie. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so again, everything you're looking at here is going to be available very soon at my website. And if I have any common sense, I will go back and renumber the 6s and 7s. I'll try to remember to do that. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, let's get into your questions. Now, I believe, okay. Charlie says, how do you know what key you're in when you have a capo on? Excellent question. That presumes that you know what key you're in before you put the capo on. So let's start with that. You got to know what key you're in, because then you can, inch your way through the musical alphabet. You guys have heard me say before that very often the first chord you play is the key you're in. If you know the last chord, when the whole band is coming to a nice resolved ending like that. If the song ends that way, you know what the last chord is, then that is definitely the key you're in, But very often it's also the first key, first chord you play. Now that's a quick and dirty. That's not the proper way to figure out what key you're in, but it's correct so often. The first chord, it's correct so often that I got to start you somewhere, For sure, the key you're in is going to be named after one of your chords. If you're playing a lot of C's, F's, and G's, you're not in the key of E, right? Does that make sense? I mean, just for the record, if you have to take a guess, base your guess on the name of one of the chords. If you have the whole song written out, you're not sure what key you're in, which chord shows up a lot? If there's only one A minor in the whole song, it's not going to be the key of A minor. Does that make sense? Right? If there's tons and tons of D's, D like delta, all over the place, you can't avoid D chords everywhere, it might be a good guess. Okay, if you know what key the song is in before you put the capo on, and that's a big if, but if you know that, then what you need is the musical alphabet. Now remember, the musical alphabet has twists and turns. It's not as simple as we'd like it to be. We'd like it just to be like the regular alphabet, right? It is not. Okay. The musical alphabet. Now, this is worth writing down. It's worth me correcting my spelling as well. Okay, so if you have a pencil handy, you do want to write this down for sure. There are 12 letters in the musical alphabet. An important number. That's why you have 2 dots on the 12th fret of your guitar, by the way. The number 12 is very significant in music. Actually, I think culturally, the number 12 is a pretty significant number culturally as well. I digress. Okay, the musical alphabet. Oh my gosh, Jonathan. Did I mention the paper fund? Those of you who have made super chat donations, you're helping out with the paper fund. Okay, let's do this for real. And this is how you figure out what key you're in, even when you have a capo on, especially when you have a capo on. Why would you even want to know that? Because you might be playing with other musicians who don't know anything about capos, and it's not their job to know about capos. They just want to know what key is the song in, and you want to tell them succinctly, definitively, authoritatively, this is the key. You don't want to show them the capo and yeah. Okay. Musical alphabet. Remember I said 12? Okay. Musical alphabet has 12 letters. Take a look. You might say, well, wait a minute, that's 8 letters and one of them has parentheses right there. Yeah, that's okay. If you're counting and noticing that, good. It means your eyes work. A little eye test for you. Okay. By the way, before I fill in these empty spots here, know that the distance, the musical distance between everything I'm about to write is the same distance. What do we call that distance? Us guitar players call it 1 fret. You move up 1 fret, you advance through the musical alphabet, including the ones I'm writing in right here. Okay, now we're up to 12, 13 if you include that last A right there. This is just I include that last A in parentheses just to prove that, sure, life goes on after G and G sharp and everything. It's just that A would be the next thing, and A is not new information. We already knew A is a letter of the musical alphabet. Okay, so there you go. There are the 12 letters of the musical alphabet. I'm referring to A sharp, F sharp. I'm referring to those as letters of the musical alphabet, just because, number one, we all have learned the alphabet when we were little tiny kids, right? So the concept of an alphabet is a very comfortable concept for all of us, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know? So I want to stay in our comfort zone. We love the alphabet, right? We all feel we're pretty confident about the actual alphabet, A through Z, right? You don't have a whole lot of doubts about your own alphabet. Okay, so I want to keep us in that comfort zone. So A is the first letter of our musical alphabet. A sharp is also a letter in the musical alphabet. Don't let the use of the letter A fool you. It's literally just another note. It's another fret. It happens to be called A sharp. Don't overthink it. I wish it were called something else. It's called A sharp. That's fine, you know. C sharp, D sharp, those are just more letters of the musical alphabet. If you were to add up all those things, you would get 12. The 12 letters of the musical alphabet. The distance between any 2 letters, whether it's B going to C, or E to F, or G to G sharp. The distance is 1 fret, also known as 1 half step. Everyone else calls it a half step. Those of us who play fretted instruments, we call it 1 fret. You know, if you're on a B note and you go up 1 fret higher up the neck, you know, towards the sound hole, towards the pickups, you would have turned your B note into a C note. Okay, so this works for answering Charlie's question. We are going to play a play-along song. Ooh, in a few minutes, we're going to do our play-along song of the week. The song that we're about to do this week for our play-along song, you need a capo, so get your capo handy. The song is in the concert key of F. That means the piano player, the keyboard player in the song is playing in the key of F. We are going to play the song with chords from the key of C, but we're going to capo it up so it sounds like the key of F. Where are we going to put the capo? Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to put the capo on the 5th fret. So our chords that are in the key of C are going to sound like in the key of F. And we're going to make it makes our lives easier, trust me. But if I had a bass player here who wanted to play bass along with our live stream virtual play along that we do every week, I would tell the bass player the song is in the key of F. Piano player, same thing. In fact, I tell everybody else we're in the key of F. But I know that I'm making a choice to play a lot of C chords and related chords with a capo at the 5th fret. Okay, so last thing, Charlie, before we move on, this is the way I'm choosing to answer your question. How you know what key you're in when you're using a capo, you have to be comfortable with the musical alphabet, including the exceptions, how B and C have nothing in between, E and F have nothing in between. And you need to know what key you're in to begin with. Without those 2 pieces of information, you would never know what key you're in. You could take a guess, but I mean, you'd just be guessing. Okay, the last thing I'm going to write in here, and some of you know what I'm about to do. The last thing I'm going to do this with a little red pen. All those things called sharps have an alter ego called a flat. And the music theory police would get on my back if I didn't teach you this. The key of A sharp. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, the key of A sharp could also be described as the key of B flat. It's that thing in between A and B. And every sharp note, every sharp chord, every sharp anything has its alter ego. And I can't explain. We just have to accept it. A sharp and B flat are the same note, the same fret, the same everything, everything, everything. There are rules when you're supposed to call it A sharp, and there are rules when you're supposed to call it B flat. We are not worried about those rules at the moment. It's enough to know it's that place. It's the thing between A and B. Okay, so I'm happy to talk about this more. I love this opportunity to talk about music theory, but I hope that answered the question. Okay. Okay, and I saw we are going to do our play along song in a minute. A to Z me. No, Barry. I see your question in A to Z me. I see your point. Okay, so you guys are asking a great topic. Thoughts about learning sheet music and music theory when a lot of our favorites, by their own admission, are not trained musicians in terms of music theory. And it's so funny that that touches on my own dumb question of the week. So let's get to my dumb question of the week, and then I'll answer that question. My dumb question of the week was kind of like that. If famous guitar players have different techniques, even how they hold the pick, if they do things differently, if one person stretches up with their pinky, but the other person gets that same note in the same position with their ring finger, well, if they do things differently from each other, and they do, then why do we have to do it a certain way? How come you can't just hold the pick however you want? How come, even though I tell you to use your pinky, how come you can't just do it with your ring finger if it sounds the same? And that's my dumb question of the week. I ask it so you don't have to. And you both things can be true. You watch enough guitar players and hear them talk about their techniques and their stuff, and you become aware that they do things differently from each other with great results. So no, you're not obligated to. But when you talk to someone like me who deals with convention and conventional wisdom, most guitar teachers, I assume, are going to show you the conventionally accepted way of doing things, and then anecdotally say, well, that's not how so-and-so does it. So it's kind of interesting, but most of us do it the quote right way. So that ties in with what you guys are talking about a little bit in terms of learning music theory. Well, does everybody have to learn music theory, and learn how to read music before you're allowed to play an instrument? And it's, so you guys are asking, what are my thoughts? No, nope. You gotta get music into your life and enjoy the experience as much as possible, as soon as possible. The clock is ticking, my friends. So don't let anything get in your way. When you need music theory, ask about music theory. When you are super curious and you can't stand it anymore, then ask, watch some videos, get a book. If you want to learn how to read music, it's not the hardest thing you'll ever learn. It's like reading any foreign language. You'll learn how to read it slowly. And then if you choose to, you'll pursue it and learn how to read it faster and faster, to the point where, just like reading a foreign language, you could open up. Do people read magazines anymore? Newspapers, and you could open up a book of music and read the music as quickly and confidently as you want, if that's your priority. I have no doubt that any of you who have decent vision, reading music is not the hardest skill you'll ever learn in your life. Student quote of the week ties in with this. A student quote of the week. This week's student quote of the week is, one of my students said, "I want to learn music theory, but I don't want it to get in the way of my playing." Does that sound familiar? I want to learn music theory, but I don't want it to get in the way of my playing. Yeah, that contains this, that opens up. There's the worms in the can. I get it. So, if you were a bunch of 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, we'd be learning to read music for real. I mean, the real, honest to goodness, quarter notes, B flats, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Those kids are just too young to not learn how to do that, and it's not simply because their minds absorb stuff better and all that stuff, which I don't know. I'm not a neurologist. I don't know, the science behind that. But I don't care. I make them learn it anyways, and they do a good job of it. but my adult students rarely ask to learn to read proper official music notation, and I'm not going to make them do that because there's so much other beneficial stuff that we can do. And when the day comes and they want to do it, yeah, we can do it. Now that's my attitude. I'm not saying it's right, but that that attitude has served me well for 33 years. Puts gas in my car. Um, so what we're talking about, though, is someone's sort of innate musicality. Paul McCartney is a pretty musical guy, man. Paul McCartney had, was going to create music with or without the fame and fortune of the Beatles. I just happen to choose him because he talks a lot about how untrained he is. Another thought I have is untrained musicians like Paul McCartney, they arrive at the same points as trained musicians in a lot of ways. They just don't use the same terminology. It might take them longer to arrive at those points, meaning that it might take them years to learn, quote, rules, as opposed to having a music teacher show you those rules and you learn it in 5 minutes, and it's the fast way, So just think about it. What we're talking about, in this hypothetical, are famous people making famous music that we all know and love. So clearly they learned how to make conventional music and make it, appealing to the rest of us. So they arrived at that point without the academic training. And so they just got there at their own speed, by their own methods, which I would assume involved tons and tons of trial and error. And at the expense of anything else. They didn't go to graduate school. They didn't get their real estate license. They didn't do all that other stuff. They just sat and trial and error and trial and error, and most likely were surrounded by other people doing similar things. John Lennon and Paul McCartney bouncing ideas off of each other, right? That's helpful, right? Learn from your buddy's mistakes or learn from their successes, right? So as a teacher, as a music fan, I'm a fan of whatever gets, whatever results in beautiful music. As a music teacher, like I said, in general, the younger my student is, the more I make them learn the rules and reading music, all that stuff. And for many of my adult students, I don't push it because we can have so much fun and learn so much stuff without that. One thing I impress upon my youngest students is, hey, you're in 3rd grade. When you're in 5th grade, typically, that's when you have the opportunity to play in the school band. You might play trumpet, saxophone, tuba, or whatever, I can get all this stuff into your head. So when you get the clarinet on day 1 in 5th grade, you're going to have a huge head start. You're going to be able to read music. You're going to have this comfort with a written page, and I've seen that happen enough that I feel very confident making that prediction. Sadly, they don't have guitar in the typical school band, right? Okay, so does that answer your guys' question kind of about where I'm coming from? Willie says, stupid question of the week. Willie, don't be so tough on yourself. How do I feel about cheap knockoff guitars of famous expensive ones? And what if they play and look great? Yeah, well, that's the world we live in. Thanks to CNC machines and just smart people, the guitars in general the overall quality is getting better and better at every price point, and they look better and they work better. So I'm a fan of whatever gets instruments into people's hands, and this isn't getting into the huge topic of labor costs and the commerce side of things, but just in terms of making a guitar that looks great, sounds great, and is pretty darn affordable. I think that's fantastic in general. I do. And that's going to, no matter how I feel about it, that's going to just keep happening and happening and happening. Not just guitars, but amplifiers, amp modelers, everything. Everything is going to get better, smaller, cheaper, it's going to keep going that way because there's a huge market for it, so it's not going away anytime soon. I personally, that's not what inspires me as a fellow musician along with you guys. I don't think, oh man, instead of getting one really sweet, unique guitar, I'm going to get 6, $149 guitars. I'm going to build up a guitar collection. So that doesn't inspire me personally. But I've taught kids who just they mom and dad are not going to put out $600 for a guitar. It's not going to happen. But there's $200 guitars that look great, sound great. All right, now we're up and running. They can put the extra money towards lessons with me. So yeah, it's gonna keep happening. Rock Lobster says, I wonder why they don't do guitar in school. You know what I have noticed, even though the guitar will never be part of the traditional school band with the trumpets and flutes, more and more schools around where I am have like a guitar club or some sort of guitar option for kids, and it's great. I'm sure that's not the case everywhere, I know, but it's definitely happening around where I am, which is just so cool. Okay, I'm going to wet my whistle. All right. Beginning guitar lessons. Our other moderator, thank you for being here. Beginning guitar lessons says it's an elective down where he lives. Guitars and elective. Very cool. Okay. Hey, you guys, let's do this. Let's do our play along song of the week. I'm going to close that down. And you will need a capo at the 5th fret unless your goal is to you want to do a little soloing. If you're more likely to want to solo on top of this song, then don't go anywhere. I will. Okay, that's good. Open this. Okay, and this. Bear with me, you guys. Download. Excellent. Okay, and I'm going to put this over here. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things here. I've documented this song. This is so cool. I'm so happy with how this came out. All right, whatever you do, don't go anywhere. I want to keep you guys. All right, today's play along song of the week from Jimmy Cliff. Beautiful song entitled Many Rivers to Cross. And is that the one I'm looking for? Or is that one? That's the one right there. Many Rivers to Cross. I love this song so much. The chart we'll be using will be appearing on your screen in a moment if it hasn't already. Many Rivers to Cross from Jimmy Cliff. Capo at the 5th fret on this single piece of 8.5 by 11 plain white paper. I have communicated an enormous wealth of information, and I'm so proud of this little lesson plan here. On my website, this will be available as a PDF, but there's going to be another additional couple pages about fingerpicking this tune, which is what I'm going to do in a second. Okay. If you're going to join me in terms of playing the chords, capo behind the 5th fret, like I keep saying, that puts us in the concert key of F. Now, just to kind of remind you guys, in case you think you might know this tune, or maybe you don't know this tune, let me just play it for a minute before I, get all chatty about all the details. Many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. Wandering, I am lost as I travel along white cliffs of Dover. Okay, ring a bell. Love this song so much. Let's talk about, as usual, let's talk about your left hand. Let's talk about your right hand, and let's talk about the overall structure. Okay, let's get into the left hand. And again, capo at the 5th fret. By the way, by putting the capo at the 5th fret, what you see in front of you matches the recording exactly. Okay, so we'll be in the same key as the recording. And remember, that's always the goal with our play along songs, is for you to move past this live stream into playing along with the actual song, and then even better, playing it on your own, maybe with a band or with a friend or something, right? Okay, so here's what your left hand needs for this song. Obviously, you see the variety of chords. We're going to talk about the F. Don't freak out about the F, those of you who are not super confident about the F chord. For this song, though, you do need C, E minor, F, G, and there's a little A minor that sneaks in about halfway through the third line of the bridge, where the lyric says, "My woman left me and she didn't say why." Right after that word "why" is the one single time an A minor chord appears in the song, and it only happens at one moment. So that section, by the way, I'm calling it the bridge of the song. That one kind of has that bracket around it right in the center of the page, more or less. Okay, so in terms of your left hand, we all do C pretty much the same way. I would encourage you, as the song changes from C to E minor, please fret E minor with your first two fingers. That means your middle finger is already in the right place when you're coming from a C. Okay, so definitely E minor with your first two fingers. For many of you, that's how you always do it anyways. We're going to get back to the F chord in a second. The G, you know what I'm going to say, ma'am. When it's time to do the G chord, middle ring and pinky, do that G right there. In the finger picking, I'm going to teach you a little bit of finger picking in a minute. When we finger pick this, you do not actually have to commit to that whole G chord. You're going to see me most likely only fret my 6th string, 3rd fret with my ring finger. I'm retracting my other fingers out of the camera shot here, so you can just see my ring finger, 3rd fret of the 6th string. The advantage of bare finger picking is you don't necessarily have to commit all your fingers to the chord if you're not going to be finger picking every string involved in the chord. Does that make sense? Okay, so, but for those of you who are going to strum, nothing wrong with that. You heard me strumming with my thumb a minute ago. Then when you do the G, please, please, please do it with your middle ring and pinky. Save your index finger, because your index finger is going to be necessary to help you get back to the C chord. Because I believe without exception, the G is always leading to the C chord in this song or to an F chord. Same thing, G to F, you want your index finger to be available. Okay, now speaking of the F chord, those of you who have no issues with F whatsoever, now's the time to get yourself an iced tea and relax for a minute. Those of you who are stressed out about F, there's lots of ways of doing an F chord. Because I'm going to be finger picking this, and I'm going to show you the right hand pattern in a minute. The version of F I'm doing, I am completely disregarding, ignoring the first skinny E and the 6th fat E. Okay, the F I'm playing is extremely similar to the C that so often, shows up with F chords in general. Here's my C chord. I know I'm a little thumbnail on this corner of your screen. I know. If I'm going from F to C, which happens in the bridge, for example, for this song, even if I'm just illustrating it, I'm going to show you how to do this F. I'm illustrating it as if we're going from C to F. Okay. I'm on a C chord. My index is going to stay exactly where it is. My ring is going to stay exactly where it is. And again, I'm retracting my other fingers so you can see my index is on the 2nd string, 1st fret. I know there's a capo there, I know. My ring is right where it was, 5th string, 3rd fret. Now I'm going to form the rest of the F chord with the understand that I'm ignoring the skinny 1st E and I'm ignoring the fat 6th string E. Okay, my middle finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret. That's my middle finger, my 2nd finger. And my pinky, 4th string, 3rd fret. I am squeezing the 4 center strings of the guitar. I'm ignoring the 2 outside strings. So not only does this sound fine, and it is an F chord, it takes away the burden of this whole barring thing. Now, take my word for it that I'm capable of doing different types of F chords. But based on the finger picking pattern I'm going to show you, this way of doing F is simply the smart way of doing it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, and we're going to start this play along in a minute. Bear with me here. I wonder, I'm going to stop sharing that one, because now I want to teach you this right hand business. Okay, we don't need that one. We want this one. Yeah, baby. Okay. For those of you who are good finger pickers, for those of you who don't do a whole lot of finger picking, period. Yeah, okay, coming at you. Here it comes. And I'm going to crank this up nice and big. Now, this is also available, or will be available soon, on my website. Okay, the right hand picking pattern. I'm going to repeat this a bunch of times on a C major chord. It's what you see in the tab, the first 4 things in the tab. Thumb plucking the 5th string. Now, it doesn't say that. This is the part I'm verbally telling you this. Thumb on the 5th string. Index finger plucking up on the 3rd skitty string. A pinch with my thumb and my middle on the 2nd and 4th. There's only one more thing. Don't go anywhere. My index finger again on the 3rd skinny string. Thumb, index, pinch, index. If you've never done this before, then you should feel a little overwhelmed. That's normal. If you've done a little bit of finger picking, you might say, I think I can do this. In a couple of different books I've written, I refer to this as the pinch pattern, because I don't have a great name for it, so I just call it the pinch pattern. Many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. I think it fits the song so nicely. This is not literally what you're hearing in the song. In fact, the song is not a guitar-driven song. Again, let's take that as a positive. We're not challenged to recreate some exact guitar part. We can pick it however we want, as long as it fits the groove of the song. Doesn't that sound nice? So one takeaway that I hope you get from this is this finger picking pattern is not super hard. And just trust me on that, okay? It's not super hard. Repeating it while your other hand changes chords, okay, yeah, that's a little bit harder, but you can do it. Plus, it's a slow tune, right? You get a lot of bang for your buck. Hey, there at the top of the page, it says F/C, that chord diagram in the center. That's the F I'm talking about. And to be academically correct, I have to write it that way. It's an F chord with C as the lowest note. That's what that slash means, okay? So don't freak out by the name F/C. It's an F chord. You know, I just trying to do the right thing and trying to stay ahead of anyone who might say, wait a minute, you know, that's not the, you know, you got to call it F/C, you know, and that's true. Okay, so now I'm about to go back to the other screen, but that thing you're looking at right there, oh man, oh, I put a lot of work into this. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so good. You guys could totally play that. It's barely even 2 pages. That's the whole tune. So I would call that a finger picking, what do I call that? An appropriate way to finger pick the accompaniment for Many Rivers to Cross. Does that sound legal enough? If and when I ever were to play that song, especially in a like essentially a solo kind of context when I'm the only musician, just me, or if I was going to carry the tune and someone else was going to I'm going to pull up the other chart. That's what I'm doing right now. And someone else is going to sort of like accompany what I'm doing, but I'm going to carry the tune, so to speak. This is exactly what I would do. I would do that finger picking pattern. And here we go. I don't want that one. I want the other one. I would do that finger picking pattern. And come on now. Come on now. Downloads. And those chord changes with a capo on there, and life is good. Is that? That's what I'm looking for. Okay, we're going to start in a minute. Don't go anywhere. You got your capos on at the 5th fret. That. Okay. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say, those of you who would rather like solo, by the way, this song has so many very sweet, subtle lead guitar things in the background. We could do a whole lesson on just the tasteful lead guitar in this song. You have to listen closely to hear it sometimes. Then if you want to do that, take the capo off, and you have a couple of options. See how it says soloing no capo right there where my cursor is? Remember, we're in the key of F technically, right? So there are a couple of boxes, often called the B.B. King box, and its accompanying neighboring box. There are a couple of boxes for you to solo in. I circled the actual F notes. Soloing with sixths. You guys know I'm a fan of using sixths. That's just another way to approach soloing. I just want to put it all on the same page. All right. Is that, yeah, that's everything we need. Okay. All right. After all that buildup, are you ready? I'm ready if you are. I'm going to be doing that finger picking pattern. I'm going to be, I got my capo on the 5th fret. I think I'm good. If you are, I'm going to make this quiet. Okay, excellent. Yeah, let's just do it. I'll see you on the other side. 2, 3, 4. Many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. Wandering I'm lost as I travel along white cliffs of Dover. Many rivers to cross, and it's only my will that keeps me alive. I've been licked, washed up for years, and I merely survive because of my pride. And the loneliness won't leave me alone. It's such a drag to be on your own. My woman left and she didn't say why. Well, I guess I'll have to cry. Many rivers to cross, but just where to begin? I'm playing for time. There have been times I find myself thinking of committing some dreadful crime. Yes, I got many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. Wandering I am lost as I travel along white cliffs of Dover. Yes, I got many rivers to cross. Wandering I am lost white cliffs of Dover. All right, what do you think? You survive? You do it? You do it? Now, we're just scratching the surface here, right? We could go on and on, but we've spent enough time at the moment on this. Questions, comments, thoughts? Hey, Chaz, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. And Randy, I saw yours as well. Thank you, guys. Now, when I turn around and start teaching this song over the course of the next few weeks, now that I've got it all written down, depending on the student, I will maybe not do the finger picking. Maybe I'll just have them do downstrokes, 2 downstrokes on C, 2 on E minor, and so on, you know. Then again, if the person has done some finger picking or you know, if a person likes the song enough, they'll do whatever it takes to bring the song to life, even if they've never finger picked it before, you know. It's going to sound great on acoustic guitar. I'm excited about that. If the student wants to sing, then we'll talk about how, especially if the song is too high, easy to move the key down lower, right? Every time I move the fret back to the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st, I'm moving back through the musical alphabet. At the moment, we're in the key of F. Remember E and F? Ooh, let's use my... If I move it back 1 fret, the song that was in the key of F moves back 1 fret. It would now be in the key of E. Maybe that would be better for the student's voice if the student wants to sing, you know. If the student wants to sing higher, that's going to be tricky. Although you can put the capo up at the 6th fret, 7th fret. But at a certain point, it gets a little dicey up there. It really depends. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. And again, what you're looking at, everything we talked about in terms of this will be available very, very, very soon in the PDF section of my website. Head over there, become a member, song-bike.com. You're going to access tons and tons and tons of PDFs and videos for a very, very low, reasonable price. Rock Lobster says, with all the all the chords in different locations up and down the neck, how do you know where to go? Is that what you're talking about, Rock Lobster, different chords up and down the neck? How do you know where to go? Yeah, it's a great question. You know, as always, deciding what you're going to do on the guitar, period, raises the number one big question. Are you walking in the footsteps of some famous person doing a famous song and trying to play exactly what they play? That's great. Or are you doing a famous song your own way, or even writing your own personal, creative, unique music? Because that all of a sudden that answers your question, right? So Rock Lobster, what I'm going to say is, when it's either your own song or you just want to get creative with someone else's song, you, in terms of deciding what to do up the neck, part of it is what you remember. And there's certain things that some people just feel so comfortable with. I would venture to say that many of us feel really comfortable with the D major chord, as a grip. Many of us feel comfortable moving that up and down the neck because it's so familiar. It's one of the first chords we learned. So you are more likely to do that up the neck than any other chord grip that you're not as comfortable with, you know? So you might say, okay, I'm whether you make a conscious decision or you just do it so much that you get it memorized, you're going to remember that, you know, an F chord, 5, 6, 5, you're just going to end up remembering that that's an F chord, either because you chose to commit it to memory, or you find yourself looking for F alternatives so much for whatever reason that you just end up memorizing that. G, 7, 8, 7. So in terms of knowing where to go and what to do, you're gonna move stuff up the neck that you're already familiar with. In terms of knowing where to go, like to get the effect you want, that goes back to a good old musical alphabet. The D grip, the D formation, up 1 fret. It was a D major chord. Now it's a D sharp major chord, also known as an E flat major chord. I know it's a little bit hard to read, the red. You know, you take your D chord, you move it up 2 frets, boom, boom. It's now an E chord, even though it still feels like a D chord, but you move D up 2 frets and now it's an E chord. So you would have to memorize this basically. But it's not as crazy as you think. I mean, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, right? What you want to memorize is the exceptions, how B and C don't have anything in between, and E and F don't have anything in between. That's what you want to memorize. That's easier than memorizing all the other stuff. But yeah, there's one more detail, that thing about how A sharp could also be called B flat. You know, you want to know that too. But that's what I'm here for. That's why, in fact, Rock Lobster, I'm glad you brought it up, because I figure as long as someone brings up topics like this, I'm happy to talk about it. I'll talk about it all day long. And sooner or later it's going to sink in. You know, I've had that experience where at a certain point something just sinks in. For whatever reason, it didn't sink in. It wasn't working for me, and then I hear it the 9th time, and maybe I hear it a little bit differently somehow. I hear something explained differently, and it boom, it sinks in, and you've got it. You know. All right. Lots more to do today, but keep the good questions coming, okay, you guys? Other things I want to share with you, and I'll make this quick. Should I sell out? No. This week, a couple of lame offers. Nothing like last week where I was offered Bluetooth, a wireless meat thermometer. That was maybe the best thing. This week, I was offered 2 things to sell to you. One was kind of art supplies, and the other one was premium pearl jewelry. I know sometimes it's entertaining and fun. Sometimes it's just dumb stuff. We did the student quote of the week. Who's coming through town? Oh, you know who's coming through town? Al Stewart. Any Al Stewart fans out there? I love Al Stewart so much. Al Stewart, if you know one song by Al Stewart, you know Year of the Cat. If you know 2 songs, Year of the Cat and Time Passages. I love Al Stewart. My big brother brought home the Year of the Cat LP record in 1977 or whenever that was. And I love that album. I might even love it more now than when I was a kid. I love that album, and I'm a big Al Stewart fan. I saw him a couple of years ago. He's coming through my town. If he's coming through here, he might be coming through your neck of the woods. I'm a big Al Stewart fan. This tour is being labeled his farewell tour. In the description of this live stream, I'm going to put 2 YouTube links. To the same Al Stewart song, the studio recording of one of my favorites called Lord Grenville. It's the first track on the Year of the Cat album. And the second is a live acoustic version, a much more recent version of Lord Grenville. Why that particular tune? Al Stewart always had terrific musicians playing on his albums. And a terrific producer named Alan Parsons. You guys have heard Alan Parsons. Remember the Alan Parsons Project, Eye in the Sky? Alan Parsons, very reputable musical person. So on Lord Grenville, the studio version, it's one of many examples of some great lead guitar playing. And maybe the lead guitarist is a gentleman named Peter White. I'd have to go back and look at the credits, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. Extremely tasteful, sweet lead guitar playing, electric lead guitar playing, that I'm going to assume is a Les Paul. I don't know. My whole life, a lot of decades, ever since late 1970s, I've loved the lead guitar playing on Al Stewart songs. And it's not Al Stewart himself, I don't think, doing it. But Lord Grenville is a great example. And then for the fun of it, I pulled up this live version where there's a guy playing acoustic guitar. And it's only a 2-man, this Al Stewart on acoustic guitar and his partner on acoustic guitar. And I thought, oh, how cool. He's recreating those great solo riffs, but he's doing on acoustic guitar instead of electric. And I got a kick out of it. I decided to geek out. So Al Stewart is Who's Coming Through Town. And like I said, I put those links in the description of this video. We did that. We did that. We did that. We did that. One more t-shirt. Joe, if you're out there, I haven't forgotten about you, Joe. Your t-shirt from our live stream giveaway is my project this week. Check, we did that. Check, we did that. Hey, even though we don't have time to dig deeply into it at the moment, last week, someone asked a great question. Are there any, classic finger-picking songs that aren't sad? And I knew if I gave it a minute, it'll process in my head. Here Comes the Sun. There you go. Here Comes the Sun. Now, technically, Here Comes the Sun is not George Harrison finger picking. It's just that finger picking works so well on Here Comes the Sun. That's going to be one of my answers. Here Comes the Sun is a great song to learn as a finger picking player. And what's happier than Here Comes the Sun, right? Love that song so much. I loved it, and I always will. And I'm putting the final touches on my finger-picking version of the song, which is extremely close to what you're hearing. It's not really my version of it as much as my edit. I'm kind of like taking what George Harrison did with a pick, and I'm editing it a little bit so it works as a finger-picking piece, but it's still very true to the song. When that's ready, that's another thing that will be put up on my website. And for those of you who I love Here Comes the Sun. I think you get a kick out of it. In fact, what I'll probably do is I'll probably do both a finger picking version and a strumming version, in case you want to know what I'm talking about. Okay. Some of you may know Here Comes the Sun is played with a capo up at the 7th fret. Or here, the way I just fudged it there is pretty much in keeping with how George Harrison strummed it with the pick. Okay, and not only does my ear tell me that he's playing with a pick, but if you ever check out on YouTube, and maybe I'll put a link, the concert for Bangladesh, you can hear George Harrison playing it with just one other guitar player, two acoustic guitars, and you can see George Harrison strumming it, and it sounds fantastic. Now, it works really nice as a finger picking song as well. So my goal is to finish both versions, and then I'll put that up on my website, because number one, I love that song. Number two, I have a feeling that a lot of you like that song too. Oh, you know what we could do? Oh, my little brain is turning. Maybe we could do Here Comes the Sun as part of these live streams, and I might break it up into several sections, because as you know, there's a few different things that go on in that song. It cracks me up because, you know, I'm hoping Mr. Harrison knew he was writing a classic song. He knew it was going to be a great song, and he could have left it, left well enough alone, but he decided to put in the, that part in there as well. And how about the like the song didn't need another part. It's already a great song. So as a guitar teacher, I tend to break it up into a few different segments, because each one is worth sinking your teeth into. So that could be a fun thing to do on our live streams. The several different significant parts of Here Comes the Sun, either with a pick or bare fingers, either way, and then link them all together after a few weeks. Yeah, Rock Lobster, that sounds good. Yeah. Barry says, sell out every time, make the money. Yeah, so premium pearl jewelry. Should I do that? Randy, you're voting for Here Comes the Sun. All right. I don't need too much encouragement. That's great. I'm happy to do that. I love that song so much. Rock Lobster says, so you can play a song with one grip. Kind of. Name this tune. And keep your eyes on my fretting fingers right there. Ooh, I need your love, guess you know it's true. Hope you need my love, babe, just like I need you. Now, I'm trying to prove a point here. This famous song by the Beatles, it's not literally played the way I just did it, but it sure sounds like it would fit the song, right? Yeah, what I did fits the tune. 8 days a week, right? Oh, me, ain't got nothing but love. 8 days a week. So you just about could play. 8 days a week has one or two chords that are not major, so you cannot play them with a D major formation. But you sure can play a lot of 8 days a week, including that cool intro. You sure can do it. Again, for you Beatles police, I know this is not literally how the Beatles do it. I get it, but it sure sounds good. So, but back to your point, Rock Lobster, yeah, you could play an entire song with one grip, especially if the song had only major chords, or hypothetically only minor chords, because as soon as it switches from yeah, little blip there. We're back. We're back. A little blip. So yeah, but you could play an entire song with one grip, you know, as long as the song only had major chords or only had minor chords, or hypothetically only seventh chords. You could have a blues tune. Wouldn't be a shock to have a blues tune that had nothing but seventh chords. In fact, it'd be surprising if a blues tune didn't have a seventh chord, if it had a major or minor instead, you know. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but yeah. Barry says, is Year of the Cat too detailed for a play along? You know what, Barry, I'm gonna make a mental note. Make it not even a mental note, an actual note. Year of the Cat. I love that song. You know, I do a reality check. You know, sometimes you listen to music that you listened to as a kid, and you think, oh man, you know, it's that the music doesn't speak to me anymore. And then I listen to Alice Stewart. I think, yeah, man, I still like it objectively. I love it, and it also simultaneously brings me back to being little kid. Oh well, there you go. There you go. Who knows, man? The heart wants what the heart wants. Who knows? So Barry, I will look into that. I'm just reading some of your comments in here. Excellent. Okay. How are we doing our poll question? Hey, if you have joined us recently, don't forget to vote. Our poll question. It's more of a statement. The statement is, I know exactly what I want to get better at. And option number 1, yes, I'm very focused. And option number 2, nope, I practice a bit of everything. And by far, you guys are answering in as the latter. You practice a little bit of everything as opposed to being extremely focused on one thing. Yep. That makes sense. Number 1, it keeps things fun, right? And you don't get too bogged down in one thing. And the guitar, as much or more than most instruments, the guitar being so global, so universal, and you know, a relatively old instrument at this point. There's so much to do on the guitar, is my point. You know, so you know, you want to do a little finger picking, a little slide. Right? I mean, it's all good. It's so fun. Barry says, will you play your version of Here Comes the Sun? You know, I don't think, no, the only time I've ever played Here Comes the Sun, you know, as a performance, like all the way through, was in, I was briefly the music teacher in a local Catholic school, and a spring concert. Long story short, I had the Catholic school kids do Here Comes the Sun during the spring concert, and I played guitar and they sang it. But I've never actually performed it. So Barry, I got to sit down and see how I would do that. I know I can't sing as high as George Harrison, so it's possible that I would scooch the capo back away from the 7th fret. Yeah, let me look into that, you know. Okay, other things. I'm really loving the Mike Campbell autobiography, you guys. I got it for my birthday from my mom. Thanks, Mom. My mom is often watching these live streams. Mom, I love the book. Mike Campbell, also known as Tom Petty's guitar player and friend. Mike Campbell has a new book out called Heartbreaker. I got the book, but I got to admit, I've also been listening to the audiobook version that he narrates online. And it's so interesting. It's so fun. And I'm just a few chapters in, but it's so good. So I recommend that. The Mike Campbell autobiography called Heartbreaker. Okay, we talked about Neil Young. Molly Tuttle, do you know? The little segment I like to call Do You Know? Do you know Molly Tuttle? You're about to. Okay. National Public Radio did a very cool piece. And this is a long piece. This is like half an hour, and I've listened to most of it. And again, I'm sharing a website here, so give your computer a chance to load. I'm going to put a link to this National Public Radio story. There we go. I'm going to put a link to this story in the description of this live stream. Many of you are familiar with Molly Tuttle. For those of you who are the kind of people who say, there's no good music nowadays. All these kids, there's no good stuff. Okay, Molly Tuttle is the antidote, is the proof that holy cow, are there good musicians out there doing fantastic stuff. So Molly Tuttle has a new album out. She's got a whole bunch of Grammy Awards. Like as you can see from the text there, she got a Grammy Award for the best bluegrass album back in 2022 for Crooked Tree. She has a new album out called So Long, Little Miss Sunshine. So I'm gonna, instead of talking too much, I'm going to scroll here. You can read a little bit about this. Here's one thing I want you to, this is from a national public radio show called World Cafe. When you listen to this, and I hope you do listen to it, one of my takeaways is not simply that she's super talented as a guitarist and as a singer and songwriter. I'll tell you what my other takeaway is after I wet my whistle. She performs live on this public radio program, and every song, flawless performances of every song. She nails the vocal. She nails the, I hear sitting with you guys playing something that I'm pretty good at. I make mistakes, right? Just make mistakes, right? Because she tours and tours and performs, my instinct is that she is a kind of, you perform often enough that you just don't make mistakes. You just, whether you're performing in front of one microphone at a radio station or you're performing on some big bluegrass stage, you're in the groove. You've got your act together, literally. So I encourage you to listen to the link I'm going to share. Partly to hear her just bang out these tunes. For a moment, I assumed I was listening to what she'd done in the recording studio, right? Edited, polished, and then finally released. No, that's her in the recording studio sounding, oh my God, her playing is incredibly crisp and clean. Her vocals sound great. Holy moly. So Molly Tuttle is someone that we all should be aware of. And like I said, she has a new album out. Okay. The other thing I want to share with you guys is not that anymore, is this, the Fretboard Summit coming your way. Okay, see that right there? Check this out. This is happening right now. We're missing it, you guys. We're missing it. It was Thursday, yesterday, Friday, and today. Check this out. I'll let you read this for a second while I take one more drink here. All right, see that there? Now it's not cheap, but then again, okay, hear me out, because maybe we should all do this next summer. $400 gets you 3 days. 3 days of like performers and all these guitar makers. You know who is there? Anybody out there have a Taylor guitar, a Taylor acoustic guitar? Bob Taylor was there. Imagine just saying, hey man, you make a nice guitar. Thanks for making my guitar. So much stuff. So bear with me for a second, you guys. What we're talking about now is known as the Fretboard Summit. It's not for the first time. It's being held about this time of year in Chicago, Illinois, sponsored by the Fretboard Journal and the Old Town School of Folk Music. Some of you know that I lived in Chicago for quite a few years, so I'm definitely familiar with the Old Town School of Folk Music. I worked at what I would call one of their competitors, a smaller acoustic music store out there in the Chicago area called Hogeye Music, Hogeye. But I was very familiar with the Old Town School of Folk Music. So 3 days. And now maybe I will, let's see, I'm going to click. Why not? I'll click a little bit. Does this sound like fun? Man, look at all this stuff. Okay. So should we do this next year? Should we have a big meetup? Look at, these are all the people who have, essentially booths, right? Look at all these names. Now, a few of these I recognize, many I do not. I've heard of I've heard of Collings guitars. See that there, you know, in the middle, Diodario strings. I've heard of some of these, but many, many, many of these that I'm scrolling past here, these are small, small, small operations making beautiful, beautiful instruments. Look at all those. Holy moly. Imagine talking to these folks, playing their instruments, watching other people play their instruments. Super, super interesting. It's acoustic and electric. It's not, you know, just one. So interesting. How about this thing right here, the schedule? Oh, now I know this might be a little bit hard to read. Can you guys see that a little bit? Doesn't it sound amazing? For 3 days. Okay, so you'd have to get yourself to Chicago if you don't live there already. You'd have to find a place to stay. That's not going to be cheap, right? And then there's the $400 to get you in. Now you don't have to. You could spend less money and just attend for 1 day, right? You know, but man, look at all these people. Now, some of these names are familiar to me. Many of these are not familiar. But I have a feeling that if I went to, you know, a weekend like this, I would walk out of there with a whole bunch of new favorite guitar players and favorite guitars. Look at all that. Okay, so I just want to run that past you guys. Again, we're talking about the Fretboard Summit. If I understand correctly, it's an annual event in Chicago. I think it's always in Chicago. I think it's always the time of year. And I couldn't not mention that to you guys. Okay, check, check, check. Now, we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Things I have not mentioned enough. So I'll do it again right now. Instead of the live stream next Saturday, it'll be a live gig. So you can check out Clay and I. We've got a few new songs. I'm going to work at getting a better camera angle and getting the camera not to make me look like a lefty. I'm working at it. I got 1 week to to figure out everything. But please do tune in, and you know, it's the same time as this live stream. Actually, we'll go 1 hour later, so 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Actually, I was using my phone last time. My phone battery ultimately died, so I'll stream it for as long as I can. But don't be surprised if, as the evening goes on, it's likely that my battery will have died, and so you won't see the end of the gig. We'll do all our good songs first. Hey, Rock Lobster, thank you for your super chat. I really do appreciate that. So it's possible that we'll do this live stream Friday instead. I don't know. I can't think that far ahead at the moment. If we do, it'll almost certainly be a later start time than tonight, okay? The option is basically doing it Friday night or Sunday, and my instinct is to do it on a Friday. How will you know? Don't leave anything up to chance. Just follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and that's where I'll definitely be posting whatever's going to happen, including the possibility that there will be no live stream next week. But I really want to make it happen. I do. So head over to Instagram or Facebook, do a search for the term SongBike. You'll find me. So the same thing on September 6th. So that means 2 weeks in a row. Now, September 6th is I'm heading up to the Hartford, Connecticut area to see Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, and Sheryl Crow, and Waxahachie, and someone else. So no live stream on September 6th, Saturday, September 6th. But maybe we'll do the Friday night right before then as well, okay? And again, social media is how I let people know stuff. Check, check, check. Okay. I'm circling things that we didn't get to this time. Nothing wrong with that. We'll get to next time. I got some new gear. Did my gear sound any different tonight? I got new gear. Ooh, some nice little tremolo. Bottom line is, I went to Empire Guitars in Providence. My first time going to Empire Guitars. And they're that place I talked about a few weeks ago where they relocated to a bigger space. And I said, my God, what brick and mortar guitar store in this day and age is expanding, right? In the age of Sweetwater and, you know, with all due respect, and Amazon, to have a brick and mortar guitar store that's moving and expanding. How cool is that? So I had to go to check out Empire Guitars. I brought a whole bunch of stuff and I traded in a whole bunch of stuff and I got a pretty cool deal. It made me want to just trade in. Well, I don't have too much more to trade, but it gave me a very positive, it was a very positive experience. Static Zigzag says, is that a pedal? even better than a pedal. It's I'll tell you more next time, but it's I got a cabinet and essentially a type of a head, not quite a pedal, not quite a big head. You know, the big thing that sits on top of the cabinet. I'll tell you more next time. Ah, I love it so much. I always want to get something from the Milkman Sound Company, Milkman out of California. It's a small shop. I think it's only about a half a dozen employees, and they make beautiful stuff that I cannot afford. But when I trade in all this stuff, then I can just about afford to get my foot in the door with the Milkman Company, and I traded in stuff that I just was not going to be using. Anyways, to be continued, but I can't wait to tell you about the stuff I got. If you happen to live anywhere near Providence, Rhode Island, or just go to their website, because they do, you know, they'll ship you stuff. So Empire Guitars, I'll put a link to them, but I think it's just empireguitarsri.com, RI for Rhode Island. I think that's just their website. And all I can tell you is they did right by me, and it's a huge, gorgeous place. And you know, if you're searching around the internet anyways and looking at who's selling what, you could do a lot worse than Empire Guitars in Providence, Rhode Island. So we'll do some show and tell next time I see you. Hey, Barry has a great question. Barry says, do I recommend a smaller body guitar for people with smaller fingers? Yeah. You know, that's the ideal thing about going to a brick and mortar store, to try out different instruments and seeing what happens. So in general, yeah, you want to ultimately end up with an instrument that is just comfortable, not just to your hand, but to your fingers, to your, you know, your arm, everything. The tricky part about giving a definitive answer to your question is sometimes people play the guitar for a week and they say, oh, this neck is all wrong for my hand. I got to get a different neck. They might want a larger neck. They might want a smaller neck, right? And, you know, it's what can I say? Like, it might be you. It might not be the guitar. It might be you, you know? Some of us we start on whatever guitar we started on, and there was no option for another guitar. That's what you had, you know? So I don't want to discourage anyone from shopping around, but the less time you have under your belt, so to speak, the more likely you are to think, "Ooh, maybe it's the guitar, not me," you know? So just factor that in, not, you know, just now, if you've been playing for, you know, let's say a year, if you've been playing one guitar for a year, just to throw out a big round number, 1 year, yeah, then you're in a position where you're very familiar with your instrument, and it's definitely, you certainly have the green light from me to go out and try out other instruments and start comparing and contrasting. But if you've been playing your instrument for a week or two, well, you know, who knows, right? Anything is possible. But yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd all live right down the block from a great store with a big variety of instruments, and you can go in there and spend a couple of hours, right? And although the fact is, when something feels right, you don't need a couple of hours. It feels right away. One of the guitars I traded in had a neck. It happened to be a big neck, but I like big necks. But literally, I would play this guitar and it would hurt. I'd feel pain pretty soon. I mean, after a few minutes of playing this guitar, my hand would hurt. And I'm not a beginner, right? So I had to let go of this guitar. I mean, I wasn't attached to it, but I had no problem trading it in, because clearly something about this, I was never going to bond with this guitar, right? It was never going to happen. But the more you play, the more you develop instincts, and you should trust your instincts, right? And you don't even have to explain. If something feels right, it feels right. Just like you don't have to explain why you like the way something looks, right? If you love the way it looks, that's all that matters. All that matters, you know? And fortunately for us, we're involved with a passion, you know, a hobby, whatever you want to call it, where there's so many options out there. You know. All right, you guys. Yeah, I think you guys are very patient with me. we talked about a lot of stuff. Thank you, you guys. Asked great questions. We'll do this all again, maybe this coming Friday. For sure, though, no live stream September 6th whatsoever. And on August 30th, I'll be doing that gig instead. I hope you tune in and watch. If strangely enough, the live gigs get more views than the live stream right here, which is awesome. It's great. I'll take it, but it kind of cracks me up. But who knows? Who knows? If you're enjoying this live stream, please do tell a friend, and it'd be fun to get as many people as possible watching, asking questions, joining the chat and everything. Okay, before I say goodbye, let's see whatever happened. I'm about to end the poll, everybody. So this is your last chance to vote. The statement of the week was, I know exactly what I want to get better at. And 77% of you said, no, I don't know exactly what I want to get better at. I practice a bit of everything. I mean, I'm sure you want to get better at all of it, but 22% said you are very focused. You know what you want to get better at. And 77 say, I practice a bit of everything. That does not equal up to 100. I get it. I'm going to end the poll, and we'll see. You know, sometimes I end the poll. Nope. It still adds up to 99. Go figure. Anyways, with 99% of the ballots counted, the vast majority of you practice a little bit of everything. And you know what? I do too. I get that. Although I try hard to focus on very specific things sometimes to get that real progress. So it's all good. That's our poll question. All right, you guys, I'm going to say some good nights. Good night to Static Zigzag, Randy, Barry, beginning guitar lessons and music fan. Thank you for being our moderators. Randy, Chaz, who else did I see here? Rock, Lobster, Willie, Live to Fly, DAC, Poet, A to Z Me, Charlie Beagle, Don Bentner. Hey, Don. Don says, I enjoyed watching the video of your recent gig. Thanks, Don. The production quality will improve. Thank you for your patience. Who else did I see who I haven't mentioned yet? Okay, I think I got everybody. M. Fish, thank you for being here. And Nanita, thank you for being here too. Chris Greats, thank you for being here. All right, you guys. Sue, Puba John, thank you guys for being here. All right, you guys. William Collier, thank you for being here. So I'll see you guys again. Plenty more to do. Enjoy practicing this stuff. I'm about to timestamp this video right now and upload many of the PDFs that we were talking about, upload them to my website. I might fix that one that was numbered wrong and then upload it to the website. www.song-bike.com. Become a member and get access to lots and lots of good stuff while you're at the website. You can also check out my products such as electronic books and even my own Hal Leonard instructional book, Easy Guitar Chord and Lead Tricks. Purchase any of that stuff. I'm happy to mail you the hard copy book. If you order an electronic book, it gets sent to your email inbox instantly. And then you can get down to business and enjoy it. All the books, almost every single book has an accompanying video to show you what to do. All right, you guys, on that note, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week. I hope you have lots of opportunities to play your guitar. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon, I hope. All right, take care.